guys, it's Sean from Blowhub, and today I wanted to make this video just to walk you through setting up QuickBooks Online and connecting it to Cin7 Core. So for this, I have a QuickBooks account, as you can see here, and it has to be, I believe, QuickBooks Premium, or not the basic package, in order for this to work. And we also have a Cin7 Core account here with no accounting platform attached. This integration can be started from either the QuickBooks side or the Cin7 side, but since we're more Cin7 specialists, I'm going to be showing you from that side today. So the way you'll start this is by going into your integrations tab here, clicking into QuickBooks, and then starting a QuickBooks Connect wizard setup. As it implies here, since it's a wizard, it does most of the work for you. You just have to click a few different options in order to get this working. So firstly here, it's just telling you a couple of bits of information about what it does and doesn't work with. So firstly, the integration is supporting QuickBooks Plus or QuickBooks Advanced, like I say, not the plain QuickBooks package. And you can see that here, it doesn't work with QuickBooks Simple Start or QuickBooks Desktop. Cin7 Core does not recommend integrating with QuickBooks Essentials, although it can happen, it won't work correctly. From here, we can then continue. We can select our integration mode, so we can choose how we want the data to sync. We can go just from QuickBooks into Cin7. We can do it both ways. And we can turn off the inventory tracking in QuickBooks here, so that we can only see the quantities of stock on hand in Cin7 itself. Now, what I would say here is you usually want this to be syncing both ways, because that means you'll have invoices going to QuickBooks and payments coming back from QuickBooks. And you'll miss out on a lot of the integration features if you just go from QuickBooks only. You then also probably want this to have inventory tracking turned on, because otherwise you won't get quantities of stock appearing on your invoices. Traditionally, we would say that you turn this off, and the integration never used to work with this if it was turned on, but you do lose that visibility of how many of a product you've sold within QuickBooks. So we'll turn that on. From here, we can continue again. And then we have the option here of whether we want to keep our existing data in Cin7 Core or reset it. So I'm going to keep my existing data, and you usually would want to. It'd be quite rare you're basing your Cin7 on your QuickBooks, but it is possible, so you do have that option there. And then when I say data there, I just mean the transactional data, as is stated here. That means any existing purchases, sales, and all that kind of information will be wiped if you choose to not keep that data. All of your product data, suppliers, and customers will remain. From here, the final option, or one of the final options, is to actually connect this to our QuickBooks accounts. So you do need to be signed into QuickBooks in order for this to work. You can click Connect to QuickBooks like so, and it's going to take you to a QuickBooks connection page. And all you're really doing here is giving Cin7 access to your QuickBooks accounts. If you do have multiple QuickBooks accounts here, you'll see different options. So I'm just going to click Blowhub Limited there, and we can then click Next. From here, we then have the option well, basically our terms and conditions that we can read through if we want to. But I'm just going to click Connect here. You can choose to read this in your own time if you want to. And it will give you some more specifics about which data is transacting and available to Cin7. And once this is loaded, we're then halfway complete. So you'll see a few issues here that have arrived, and that's just to do with our existing accounts. So this is the next part of the process, and that's called the account mapping process here. So now the accounts are technically connected, we need to essentially align the two. Now if you have no transactions in your account, or you reset your transactions, this will be much easier. For anyone who didn't do that, then you're going to need to provide a new nominal code for every transaction that existed previously. So if you've ever done a sale before, you need to provide a nominal for the revenue, for the inventory value, the COGS, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm not going to map these correctly just because we don't have our QuickBooks account set up right. So I'm just going to do a whole lot of the same account here, and this may not work at this point, so I may have to pause and go through and fix some of this, but we'll try just to keep things moving. You'll see some of these are pre-filled, so if you have already gone through the effort of naming accounts the same in both systems, Some of these may be pre-filled out for you like that. So there we go. I've just gone through and added a account for all of those. Some of them might be the wrong type of things because I've rushed it. Doesn't like the fact that the same account is used multiple times in here, which is not ideal considering there are so many different accounts for us to map to. Give me 2 minutes just to go through this and try and get this working. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm back now. I've just gone through and I've created unique mappings for all of these. Now, once again, you shouldn't have to do this if you don't have any existing transactions in Cin7. This is just because I have a transaction against each of these nominals in my Cin7 account, which means for that transaction to go into QuickBooks, it needs an account tied to it. So just to show you guys, in case you do come across this issue on how you actually go about that. So within QuickBooks here, I'll take you back to the home page and show you how you get there from here. You'll want to go into your QuickBooks settings, and on your QuickBooks settings, you can find your chart of accounts on the left side here. And within your chart of accounts, you'll have all of your existing accounting mappings. QuickBooks has just asked me to do a bit of a review there and cancelled what I was doing, but if I come back to here, chart of accounts, and then you'll get your existing account mappings. You will need a account for everything on that list, or at least most of them, but you can always use this type on the right to find out what you're doing in terms of creating these accounts. So you just want to basically match the types when you're creating these charts of accounts. If you do have someone in the business who's got some free time and they have an accounting mind or an accountant you're using, it'd probably be best to have them do this, or at least be there for this, to make sure everything's going through correctly. But once you have all of these mapped, you should be able to click continue, and hopefully this time it would work. Let me find out what's happening here. Maybe now. There we go. I had the expenses in there twice, so it does look like everything does need to be completely unique, which is unique to QBO. Then we get a very similar exercise here, but this is for tax mappings. So for everything, or every tax mapping you've used or have in Cin7, you're going to need to apply a tax rule from QuickBooks. So you can see that I've got two that I've pulled across here by default, 20% for sales and 20% on expenses. But then the rest of these will also need one. So once again, I'm going to try and cheat the system here by just putting in whatever I can for these. Got nothing for 6%. So I do need some for these three options here. .6% is going to be the biggest tricky one here by the looks. So I am going to have to quickly go into QBO and find out what's going on there, or deactivate this in Core and try again. So bear with me and again for 2 minutes. There we go. So once again, I'm going to show you how you can go about changing this if needs be. If you do have someone who's experienced with QBO, you won't need this, so you can skip ahead. But if you do come into an issue where you don't have a tax rate that you do have in Cin7, you'll need to go over into QuickBooks. From here, you can select the Taxes tab, which will take you to the following page. And from there, you can add in a tax rate or edit an existing tax rate if you want to. And then providing you have a unique mapping for all of these, you're okay to move on. The reason for this is because some people will want to report on, maybe different taxes per region, or different taxes they're paying in a different, or view the total of a different tax type they're paying in a different account, just to keep them all segregated and be able to basically see where their taxes are going. So you don't technically have to keep these mappings entirely unique, but you will need to have them in here so that you can use them. In fact, this is the calculation part of that, so please ignore the last thing I've just said there. This is just that you can calculate your tax correct on your sales when it goes across into QBO. From here, we can click continue. It's going to take you to the next page, and this is once again another mapping exercise, but this time it's payment terms. So this is just making sure that payment terms for invoices are going across correctly. You can see that we have several in our Cin7 Core here, but we don't have so many in QBO. It will once again be an exercise of adding these if you don't have them in there. But since this one isn't, they don't have to be unique or anything like that, I'm just going to skip through this. But obviously, if you do have an account where you want to set these up to match, you can go through and do that process correctly. Finally here, so you have the option for importing opening balances from QBO. So that's if you have a customer in QBO who's got an open balance where they've got a certain amount of credit or a certain amount of liability with you, you can actually import that into Cin7 Core from here. Now, once again, this really depends on whether you're doing this from a fresh account or it's an existing account. And any open invoices will be imported into the system for you to simplify going live, essentially. In my case here, I'm just going to click no because I have no invoices in the system. We can then continue from there. And we have the option here whether we want to import stock on hand for existing products. This is because we clicked the we do want to track stock option. You have the option here, do you want to import stock on hand from to Cin7 from QuickBooks? So if you're natively using QuickBooks and all of this should be correct from there, this might be a useful feature to use, but I am not. So we're going to click no. And if you ever do a project with us or anyone like us, they'd probably say no as well, because when you go live with your inventory system, you want to do a stock take and a figure count to make sure everything is accurate. You don't want to base it on already existing, probably incorrect data, because it's just going to lead to more issues going forwards. And then the final step here is just a confirmation that you're happy to make changes to QuickBooks. It will basically, the reason for this notice is essentially because you have products in QuickBooks that already exist, and in order for the integration to work historically, they will need to be turned into service products because you're not going to be tracking the stock anymore in QBO. It will happen in Cin7. So that means if there was ever not enough in QBO and Cin7 tries to pass a sale through, it won't work. And due to this, you just turn them into service products in QBO so that they no longer can have that issue occur, essentially. If you're happy to do that, you'll click I am ready, and you will want to do that if you are using any kind of inventory system, because once again, the inventory system is where you are going to be tracking that stock, so you won't need it in QBO anymore or need to manage it in accounts. It will be managed in Cin7 from then on. So you can click proceed here. You'll see it's going to log you off so that it can actually make the changes to the Cin7 account. And when it logs you back in or refreshes here, you'll see that QBO is then connected. And that is that in terms of actually connecting it. Once it's connected, there are a few settings to go through, and I'll go through those in another video of you guys to kind of help you understand them a bit better. But this is it in terms of the actual connection of QBO itself. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have any questions, obviously, please get in touch or leave it in the comments, and we can obviously help you with that. But for now, that's all from me. Bye.